Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, families and friends. My name is Thomas Glynn. I'm a sergeant with the Cambridge Police Department, and I've had the privilege of being the Academy Director for this class. I'd like to welcome you to the graduation ceremony of the Cambridge-Northeastern Police Academy. Please stand if you are able and welcome Recruit Officer Class 02-2020.
Class, attention! Forward, march!
Please remain standing for our national anthem.
Present arms! Order, arms! Take seats.
Our first speaker, Deputy Chief Ruben Galindo of the Northeastern Department. Deputy Galindo's career spans more than 36 years, first with the Miami-Dade Police Department, and more recently with the Northeastern University Police Department. In Miami, he rose through the ranks from police officer to major, serving in many roles. Two are particularly noteworthy. From 2004 to 2010, he was the major responsible for law enforcement and anti-terrorism at the Miami International Airport. And from 2010 to 2013, he was the director of the Miami-Dade Public Safety Training Institute. The deputy has a master's in business administration from Lynn University and a master's in public administration from the University of Miami. In addition, he is a graduate of the 22nd Southern Police Institute Command Officers Development Course. Throughout his career, Deputy Galindo has brought a vision of engaging with and seeking the value in all people, not just with our constituent communities, but also with our family of police department personnel. Over the last 5 years at the Northeastern Police Department, he has been a defining architect, along with Chief Davis, of its vision and mission, and has led the way to its much-needed transformation and evolution. It is my honor to invite Deputy Chief Ruben Galindo to the podium.
Well, good morning. On behalf of Chief Mike Davis, who happens to be out of town, and everyone here at Northeastern University, let me be the first to congratulate you on this graduation from this academy. This will be the class that will be remembered for many things. Right? The class that was disrupted by a pandemic that swept the world, and more recently, a class that was ongoing during the racial tensions that exist in this country right now. And this has been some trying couple weeks for all of us, and the last couple days have been particularly difficult for me, myself, when I reflect back on my 36 years and everything we've tried to accomplish, and to see what's happening now throughout the country is really disheartening. And I'm sure between the director and the commissioner and myself, we probably have 120 years experience in policing, and we've never seen anything like this before. And even though we have these moments of sadness and disappointment, when I took my shirt out today and started to put my insignias on it, I thought of each and every one of you. And that got me here today, and that's going to keep me focused, keep me in this profession, and keep me motivated to be the change. So despite everything that's going on, I do have hope, right? I have hope, number one, in all of you, because you understand what's happening. You know why it's happening, because we had a very long conversation here a couple months ago. And I told you then it was trying times. We couldn't imagine it was going to be as trying as it is today when you sit here and listen to us speak. But I know that you get it. You see, there's this opinion that there's systemic racism in policing. It's not true. I've been here long enough to know that that is not true. Now, do you have individual racists that happen to wear a badge? Absolutely. But it's not systemic throughout the profession. But there is a problem with our culture, and that is that in the majority of police departments across this nation, there's a culture of devaluing people, and that is systemic. That is the problem that needs to be addressed. You all know what happened May 28th. We all saw the video. First thing I know is that not anyone in this class would have been participating in what occurred. It was a complete devaluation of the individual they engaged with, as if he had actually no value. The other part of that whole interaction, and we spoke about this when we spoke about what happened in Ferguson, and that is that we're still waiting for the citizens of Ferguson to come out and support the officer who was involved in that shooting. I'm still waiting for the citizens of Minneapolis to come out and support this officer, yet we don't see them. I did a quick calculation. I figured a 17-year profession, you probably had 9,000 to 10,000 interactions in your career. You mean to tell me none of them was so significant, so meaningful to that person you engaged with, that they would come out and support you and say, hold on a second, I know that officer, he's a great person. Not happening. Because that culture I'm talking to you about, we need to be very careful with. And it's not a point anymore, as I warned you before, the peer pressure makes us make certain decisions. We're at a point in this profession that when you see something that's wrong, you're going to speak up. I don't care if you've been there 10 days or 10 minutes in your careers. You see something that's not right. If you see something where people are not being valued in your organization, you speak up. And this goes for all the command staff members, fellow chiefs and deputies and who are listening to this presentation. I challenge you to do the same within your organization. Because this culture of dysfunction I'm talking about starts with how we are treated when we walk in that door. How we feel valued or not. How safe you feel in your organization. And then that manifests itself in how you treat people out on the street. I'm also hopeful because I know that the silent majority in this country support what we do. But we can no longer accept neutral interactions as okay. Again, this is to you and the command staff members that are listening to me. We typically look at an interaction, and someone gave a statistic the other day that police have 350 million interactions with citizens every day. And these are either very positive, in that the individual you engage with felt valued and was lifted up by what you did for them, regardless of who they are, even if it's someone you happen to have to arrest, and that in that interaction, you yourself lifted yourself and filled your soul. The other interactions are neutral, and that's where you might hear some administrators say, well, the officer followed policy, didn't violate any rules. And then the negative interactions, obviously, we've never tolerated that. But it's those neutral interactions that can no longer be tolerated either. So if you did not take advantage of the interaction that you had with a citizen to make a difference for yourself, for your department, for this profession, then those interactions might as well be negative. We joined the two issues that are going on in policing right now during our conversation. And I apologize for repeating it, but it's an important message to get out. And that is police legitimacy, which we see it at its worst right now, and mental health within our profession. And we brought it to the center, or to the point of the one thing that's affecting both, and that's an empty soul. Is when you spend 17 years in a career in a negative police department with a bad culture of devaluing human beings, you're eating at yourself. So when I saw that video on May 28th, I saw two things. An individual that was being devalued to an extent that they lost their life, and an officer who was nothing but an empty shell of a human being. Because for 17 years, he did not take advantage of the opportunities that were presented to him to enrich the lives of individuals he engaged with, and more importantly, or equally importantly, to fill their soul. I'm hopeful, I really am, that this is the period in the history of policing that we make a difference, that we all decide collectively, that we have to eliminate the culture that's creating this type of behavior. And I know we will. I know everyone in this room will. I know every agency that's represented here in this room and is looking live at this broadcast will take it upon themselves to make a difference. So I'm going to end it like I started, and I said I was hopeful because of each and every one of you. And it's knowing that you're going to go out there starting Monday, and you're going to make a difference with every single call you receive. And in fact, I think we should stop dispatching calls, and we should start dispatching opportunities, right? There's a domestic opportunity on the corner of so-and-so and so-and-so. You're being dispatched to, and treat it that way. This doesn't diminish at all how we approach our officer safety tactics. No, not at all. What it does is, how can I help this person that's in desperate need of help? and never allow the labels that have been placed in this profession ever to exist in your organization. Because we think at 17 years we should have seen something with that officer. I think the first time that officer walks into a roll call room and uses profanity towards somebody he had to engage with yesterday, that's the warning sign. And you know the words I'm talking about. Never, ever let those come out of your mouth. Ever. Now, I wish I could have made this a lot more positive, and maybe another day we will gather up here again and we can have a conversation. But these are desperate times and they're calling for desperate measures. And when you start working Monday, no one's going to know that you just started. Come Monday, you're taking on the good and the bad of these uniforms. So come Monday, you start doing the right thing. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here at Northeastern. The reason we started this academy was to start an evolution. We recognized it was time back way when we started a conversation many years ago. We have to make a difference. We're in desperate need of change. Let's join up and make this happen. And you're the result of this partnership. So as I said, you're going to be recognized for many things, this class. The class that was on during COVID. It was a class that was on during the racial tensions in this country. But more importantly, you're going to be recognized as the class where the evolution started. I wish each and every one of you the best in your careers. You have a family here at Northeastern. Good luck and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Galindo. Our next speaker is the Commissioner of the Cambridge Police Department, Dr. Branville G. Bard, Jr. He became the City of Cambridge Police Department's 4th Police Commissioner in August of 2017. Prior to this, he served as the Chief of Police and Director of Public Safety of the Philadelphia Housing Authority Police Department. He began his law enforcement career as a member of the Philadelphia Police Department, where he proudly served for nearly 22 years before retiring at the rank of inspector. Commissioner Bard has earned a doctorate in public administration from Valdosta State University. He holds 2 master's degrees and a BA in criminal justice. Commissioner Bard is a reform-minded academic, heavily influenced by social and procedural justice movements. He is a subject matter expert on racial profiling and frequently lectures on the topic. He's an accomplished professor, teaching at both the graduate and undergraduate levels. He has been the recipient of many departmental and community service-related awards and citations. He is married with 3 children. It is my honor to invite Commissioner Dr. Branville G. Bard, Jr. to the podium.
Thank you, Director. I want to take this opportunity to say thanks to the graduates of the Cambridge-Northeastern Regional Police Academy, excuse me. I want to thank Chief Davis and Deputy Chief Galindo of the Northeastern Police Department and the Northeastern University for their partnership. I also want to thank Executive Director Chief Ferrulo of MPTC. I want to thank the staff, starting with Jim Mulcahy, who is our Director of Professional Standards. I want to thank the head of the training unit, Lieutenant Thomas Flynn, our Academy Director, Sergeant Glenn, our staff instructors, Darren Cromwell, Cam Dean, and Garrett Redfern. Class of 2020, congratulations. Congrats for all that you have accomplished here. I want you to make sure that you remember your families in these endeavors because you couldn't have done this without their support. I'd like to stand up here and tell you that the hard part is over, but as you probably figured out by now, the hardest part is about to begin. You see, in today's turbulent climate, the public is demanding meaningful reforms. I believe that many of these reforms will be accomplished during your generation. It's as if the previous generations of law enforcement have built up this enormous debt, and you'll be required to pay it down. but I know that you can do it. You now live in a world, and just being frank, where everything you do, both in your private life and in your public life, are under constant scrutiny. You're living under a microscope. The day you take your oath and the day you put that badge on, you're now living under a microscope. There's no question, but you knew that coming in here. The public demands and deserves public servants who are okay with that type of scrutiny. As police officers, you're granted enormous power and authority, and in order to maintain legitimacy and the trust of the community you serve, you must willingly submit to checks on your authority. You also need to be mindful of the effects of trauma and how it can impact you, and you need to take proactive steps to ensure that you stay healthy and positive and productive. Self-care is going to be critical to ensuring your continued wellness and resiliency. I know that the staff of the Police Academy did a fine job preparing you. I'm confident that you're armed with the knowledge of the law and all of the implements necessary to be fine 21st century police officers. Always tell new officers to make sure that they exercise common sense and compassion in the performance of their duties. After you get done every assignment, I want you to ask yourself two simple things. First, did my actions contribute to the relief of a citizen? If you answered no, then you have to try harder next time. Common sense is going to be a key ingredient on this job for you. Then, I want you to remember, just because you're putting your handcuffs on somebody doesn't mean that you have to treat that individual differently. Doesn't mean you have to mistreat that individual. We meet a lot of good people on their worst day, and ultimately, I believe that you'll be judged by how you treat those individuals. So I want you to ask yourself, did your actions contribute to the relief of a citizen? That's no. If you answered no, try harder. And did you have an opportunity to be compassionate? And if so, did you take it? And if not, try harder next time. Lastly, I want you to go out there and police like the whole world is watching, because I already told you they are. So once again, congratulations on this accomplishment. I hope that you're the only class that I see graduating with masks on and in these socially distant manner. But you got a lot of good work to do, so go out there and be safe. Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Bard. Our next speaker is the Interim Executive Director of the Municipal Police Training Committee, retired Chief Robert J. Ferrulo, Jr. Chief Ferrulo was appointed to the Woburn Police Department in May of 1980. He steadily rose through the ranks of the department, being appointed chief on October 1st, 2011, holding this position until his retirement on November 23rd of 2018. The chief is a proud graduate of Northeastern University and holds a Juris Doctorate from Suffolk University Law School. He is a member of the Massachusetts Bar. Chief Ferrulo spent much of his career working in the areas of juvenile justice, police training, and community-driven policing issues. Over the last decade, opiate addiction and human trafficking issues have become his focus. Chief Ferrulo has served on Governor Baker's Leadership Advisory Council on Child Welfare Commission on Human Trafficking, and he also served on the Governor's Council addressing sexual and domestic violence fatality review team. In January of 2019, Chief Ferrulo was appointed by Governor Baker to the Commonwealth's Juvenile Justice Advisory Committee, overseeing juvenile justice issues and policies within the state. Secretary of Public Safety Thomas Turco appointed Chief Ferrulo to the position of Interim Director of the Municipal Police Training Committee in August of 2019. In this position, Chief Ferrulo oversees police training throughout the Commonwealth. It is my honor to invite Interim Executive Director Ferrulo to the podium.
Good morning. This is a lot more comfortable than was the roof of the parking garage when we started in that cold morning back in the middle of the winter. Give me that. You guys are freezing. Thank you for the opportunity to appear today. On behalf of the Baker-Polito administration, my boss, Secretary Thomas Turco, and the entire MPTC, congratulations on a job well done. You guys have a front row seat to the greatest show on earth, and the change that we need to drive in the current day starts right in your very seats. I loved my job. For 38 years, I proudly carried some version of my movement police badge, and I loved every minute of it. There's no reason that you guys can't leave here today with the exact same focus, that the change that we need to implement in the current day and age starts with you people. And I am so thrilled that Northeastern University and Cambridge, or Cambridge and Northeastern, have this police academy. You're trained by the finest police officers, the finest instructors. You're one of the most beautiful facilities in the entire state, and this is a great opportunity for you to start your career. When I usually talk at these graduations, I have an opportunity to spend more time on what your job consists of. And I'd like to spend like 3 minutes to talk about popsicles, basketball, and Dr. Seuss. And that when you leave here, that it's not all about cops and robbers and handcuffs and guns, that you guys are the guardians of your community. In this current day and age, look past the rhetoric and go make the difference that you need to be. That you get just as much success from stopping at the basketball court and engaging with your community. And that I believe involvement in the school system, if you have an opportunity to build relationships, that a kindergarten child sitting on the floor on Dr. Seuss Day, being read a book by a uniformed police officer, makes a lifetime impression on that person, and you'll never forget it. And I'm going to tell you a story about myself that goes with popsicles. That when I first became a young police officer, I was 23, 24 years old, we had a homicide and a fatal accident within 2 days of each other. And a pair of brothers, Chris and John Lindsay, were killed. And we had stationary assignment posts in the housing facilities. And I was 21, 22 years old. I knew these kids. I became a police officer, 23, 24. And I sat there, and we had stationary posts, our entire shift in a marked cruiser sitting there. And the first day I sat there, white-knuckled it with my ballistic vest on, clutching the steering wheel, petrified of what was going to go on in the neighborhood. Second day, the same thing. The third day, I said, I can't do this for another 8 hours, so I stopped at the grocery store, and I got the biggest box of popsicles that I could buy, and I sat on the hood of the cruiser, still scared to death, and I took out a popsicle. I started to eat a popsicle. And this little kid came up and said, hey, cop, what's that? I said, it's a popsicle. You want one? He said, yeah. I gave him one. He took off, didn't say thank you. About 3 minutes later, there's 20 kids climbing all over my cruiser, playing with the blue lights, eating popsicles. That made a difference to me, and I believe it made a difference to their life. 25 years later, at a high school graduation, this person comes up to me and says, hey, I remember you. You were that popsicle cop a long time ago when I was growing up. That's the stuff that people remember. And I urge you, please don't forget about the popsicles and the basketball games and the Dr. Seuss books. That's going to make a difference in your community. And the last thing, and the two people speaking before me mentioned it, but take care of your family. Details and overtimes will always be there. Your kid's first baseball game, it only happens once in your life. Please stay focused and balance your life with your job. I still believe in this profession more than you'd ever know. That's why I've been charged by the Baker Polito administration, Secretary Turco, to help institute the reform that's coming. Mid-afternoon today, Governor Baker is going to announce police reform that will basically change the way that we do business. And for the good cops, it's going to be welcome and it's going to be great. And for the people that choose to make bad decisions as police officers, it's going to assist us in dealing with them. As my friend Commissioner Gross said last night on the news, that nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop. And I'm blessed to see a room full of good cops standing in front of me. And I'll commit to you that as long as I'm allowed to stay in my position, I got your back. I will work to provide you the best training, not just tactical and physical training, but civil rights training and community-driven training and professional development training. And I'm here for you, and I commit to the fact that I believe in you, I believe in your profession, and it's my honor and privilege to stand here in front of you today. Good luck and Godspeed, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Frullo. Our next speaker is the class leader, Officer Samuel Houston of the Cambridge Police Department. Officer Houston was observed as a leader very early on in this academy. He possessed a high level of discipline, had a command presence, was highly motivated, and was in excellent physical condition. He was no stranger to an academy environment, as he had already gone through one prior to ours. He's a dedicated and determined officer. He possesses great character and will be an outstanding police officer. Officer Samuel Houston, please come to the podium. Hello. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you to everyone at home who's watching. Many of you are probably unaware of how much your support means to all of us sitting in these seats. We started this academy on January 6th. We were greeted with your typical day one pageantry, bag drills, holding things over our heads, plenty of to-from letters, some of us more than others. After making it through the third week and an early visit to EVOC, we returned to something that many of us did not expect. Some of us have been through previous law enforcement academies or military boot camps and had a certain expectation for how the remainder of the academy would go. We instead were greeted with the concepts such as looking our instructors in the eye rather than looking through them, like we would in other law enforcement or military environments. We were respected as individuals, and we were being taught early how to treat ourselves and others with respect. We were afforded a different type of environment so that we could focus more on absorbing all of the lessons being taught in the classroom without having the constant stress overhead of which drill instructor was going to kick in the door at a random time. The environment that was created in this academy allowed us to truly be students of the law and of procedure and of tactics. But just as important, if not more so, was the concept of compassion and the knowledge that almost every time we interact with somebody, it could be the worst day of their life. One of the biggest goals for this academy was to teach us that we will never be too busy, too tired, or too off that day to treat people the way they deserve to be treated. We've been taught that even when issues do not warrant law enforcement response, we are still the first step and the first interaction towards solving people's problems. These problems may not seem like a big deal to us, but they could mean the world for that person. We should make an effort as humans, to be as human with them as possible, rather than offering robotic responses that can often be associated with law enforcement. While we continue to improve our knowledge of our future careers, improve our physical fitness capabilities, the looming threat of coronavirus continued to close in on us. Academies across the state that have graduated recently are slated to graduate soon, are already known as Corona classes, will hopefully be the only ones. Corona offered a brand new set of challenges for what would already be a challenging environment, but it did teach us how to adapt and overcome. Our academy staff was absolutely outstanding when it came to adapting to the hurdles that came with social distancing, quarantine, isolation, and other guidelines that we had to adhere to. We changed classrooms several times. Policies and curriculums were revamped sometimes multiple times a day. Though they did not bring it up directly, it was obvious to us as a class that they were putting in what seemed like superhuman effort to maintain as much of the regular academy experience for this class as they could, and they deserve credit for it. Even when the class moved to online lectures in isolation, the quality and effort put into them was unmistakable. Though under normal circumstances, an academy is dependent on the academy staff, these four gentlemen, along with plenty of support personnel, showed what I believe to be an extraordinary effort to maintain a strict and regulated environment where we could still learn under very unusual circumstances. Finally, my academy class, you guys. This wasn't anything that we expected going into it, but you were all able to overcome and maintain a positive attitude throughout the entire experience. We were thrown a bunch of curveballs from very early on all the way to the end, and you knocked them out of the park. That is not to say we didn't have our hiccups, but there's no academy class in history that didn't. Having said that, I've worked in this field for a little bit of time, and I can't say that I've ever heard of a class so consistently complimented by teachers and instructors for their attentiveness, smarts, and general capability. I have to agree with those sentiments. I believe that this group is truly exceptional and has so much potential to succeed in this field. Many of you were able to find early interest to pursue. R.O.C. found a love for driving at EVOC. Lemieux discovered an interest in crime scene photography. Johnson was able to match the instructors at DT, and Jimenez might find himself moonlighting as a defense attorney. Essentially, what we found is that there's so much to learn and so many areas to specialize that everybody will find a niche or a focus, and that's important. This is a long career, and there's so many opportunities for all of you to use your particular passions to make a difference. I know some of you want to be school resource officers, and some of you want to do community outreach. Some of you want to be detectives, and some want to become instructors. What is important is that you never stop learning, and you always maintain an open mind. So many in this field can be resistant to change, but it's easy to see that change is upon us right now, whether we like it or not. One of my first teachers, when I got into this line of work, left me with a phrase that has stuck with me for almost 8 years now. You want to be a police officer with 20 years of experience, not one with 1 year of experience 20 times. What that means is continue learning. There are people out in every field that refuse to learn and think that they know it all. That is when you get trapped into 1 year of experience over and over again instead of building upon it. Obviously, nobody expects us to have 20 years of experience yet, but the mentality remains the same. You will never know it all, and every person you meet knows something that you don't. Remember that. Take every lesson, good or bad, and build on it over your career.
That is one ingredient that will lead you down a successful path as a caring, courteous, and competent police officer that is capable of making a difference and truly serving the communities that they represent. This was an extremely unorthodox academy experience, and so many of you put in extra work to help us get through smoothly. All of you deserve credit for the countless contributions over the past 6 months, but I wanted to name a few. Danny Artiaga, our treasurer, taking the job that nobody wanted. Caitlin Russell for organizing the Officer Down Memorial Wall. Miguel Mijares, our guide-on, and particularly the squad leaders, Isaiah McLeod, Chris Guillaume, Alex Chen, and Nate Bolt, for working so well together, particularly through the Zoom classes, the one-month break in academy, etc. You should all be proud of what you accomplished through all of this. I'm proud to have shared this experience with all of you, and I wish you all bright careers. Be safe and don't stop learning.
Thank you, Officer Houston. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be the director of this academy. I'd like to recognize those who have made this possible and who have provided support and guidance to make this academy a success. I'd like to thank Commissioner Bard for all the work he's done in helping to make this academy a reality and for giving me the opportunity to continue as its director. From the Cambridge Police Department, I'd like to thank Deputy Pauline Wells, Lieutenant Thomas Flynn, Legal Advisor Jim Mulcahy, and so many other staff and staff members who taught at our academy and provided so much behind-the-scenes support. From the Northeastern Police Department, I'd like to thank Deputy Ruben Galindo, Lieutenant Adam Keeling, Mr. Howard Leibowitz, Mr. Jordan Smith, and Ms. Katie Urino, and all the other officers and staff that have welcomed us here and also provided a lot of support. Of particular note was the athletic department, whose facilities we used every day. And that was no easy task this year, sharing space with the varsity sports teams. Matt Ellis, the Senior Assistant Athletic Director of Operations, continues to be incredibly helpful for us. From the MPTC, I'd like to thank Director, Retired Chief Robert Ferrulo, who's been very supportive and available when needed. Academy Director Eileen Goodick of the Plymouth Academy, who continues to provide valued support for us. Recruit Curriculum Manager Laura Thomas, thanks for what you're doing. It's greatly appreciated. And I'd like to welcome the new Director of Training, Ms. Andrea Nardoni. I'd like to thank Professional Ambulance. As always, they've been a great partner and continues to support us. And I'd like to thank my staff instructors Darren Cromwell, Cameron Dean, and Garrett Redfern. You have helped to motivate, shape, and develop these officers into the professionals they need to be. You've worked tirelessly with me to ensure that we produce the best officers that we could. Thank you for making a difference. To the families of these officers, your continued support is of the utmost importance for these men and women. You are in this together. Find a balance between this demanding career and your lives outside of it. In my 22 years in this profession, I can't remember a time when it has been needed more. To our class, you've endured hours upon hours of classwork and studied late into the evenings. You've applied what you've done, and you've done it with high marks. Every instructor that came to our academy, starting in week 1, has commented that you are an excellent class. Some tough lessons have been learned, and you are better because of it. Guidance has been provided, and you've consumed it like sponges. Each of you are ready to serve your communities, and I'm confident that you will do so with excellence. The sacrifices you have made over the past 6 months are about to pay off. In just a few minutes, you will become police officers. Your academy experience will be over, and then in a blink of an eye, you'll have 20 years on the job and still talk about Cromwell's workouts. You are entering our profession at a most challenging time, but you're ready for it. You are being watched, and you are going to be challenged. Things you do and say, and the way you respond to and engage the people of your communities will be more important than ever before. But I'm not worried. We've navigated through COVID-19 challenges, and we've taught you to value everyone in your communities. You will have compassion and sound judgment. You will be firm but fair. You may be tired or exhausted, but we know you'll never quit. We have watched you develop into highly trained officers ready for this job. I know I can speak for the staff when I say we look forward to working with you and wish you nothing but success throughout your careers. It has been a privilege to be your director, and we are all proud of you. Now I'd like to present the awards for outstanding achievements. The first award is for outstanding academic achievement. We actually had a tie in this category. These officers maintained the highest grade point average in the academy. They dedicated themselves to their studies and would actually challenge one another prior to an exam about it. They are exceptional students who excelled in a strenuous academic environment. Officer Samuel Houston of the Cambridge Police Department, please accept your award. Officer Quentin Pasquarello of the Cambridge Police Department, please come forward and accept your award. The next award is for outstanding achievement in physical fitness. This officer maintained the highest level of physical fitness throughout the academy. He was highly motivated and dedicated to our program. He constantly motivated his classmates to finish that last rep and has one of the longest strides I've ever seen. Officer Isaiah McLeod of the Cambridge Police Department, please come forward and accept your award. The next award is a Top Gun for outstanding achievement in firearms. This award is given to the officer who is the best overall shooter in the class. Officers are graded on their accuracy from a variety of distances and techniques. Officer Samuel Houston of the Cambridge Police Department, please come forward and accept your award. The next award is for outstanding achievement in emergency vehicle operations. This award is given to the officer who is the best at driving their cruiser during EVOC. They are trained and tested in a variety of courses. And this is the second time a member of the Northeastern Police Department has won this award. Officer Gerard Colpois of the Northeastern Police Department, please come forward and accept your award. The final award is the Husky Award. This award is presented to the officer in the class that has gone above and beyond their duties and responsibilities. This officer was tasked with a lot of duties not typically given to a recruit. He was mature, he was dedicated, and he was all in. He always maintained a positive and professional demeanor and quickly earned the respect of his peers and the academy staff. He was constantly tasked with duties and executed them to the highest level of competence. Officer Samuel Houston of the Cambridge Police Department, please come forward and accept your award. At this time, I'd like to show you a video that summarizes what this class has achieved over the past 20-plus weeks.
Welcome to the grind. Rise and shine. 6 a.m. and your hand can't make it to the alarm clock before the voices in your head start telling you that it's too early, too dark, and too cold to get out of bed. Aching muscles lie still in rebellion, pretending not to hear your brain commanding them to move. A legion of voices are shouting their unanimous permission for you to hit the snooze button and go back to dreamland. But you didn't ask their opinion. The voice you've chosen to listen to is one of defiance. A voice that says there was a reason you set that alarm in the first place. So sit up, put your feet on the floor, and don't look back, because we've got work to do. Welcome to the grind. For what is each day but a series of conflicts between the right way and the easy way? 10,000 streams fan out like a river delta before you, each one promising the path of least resistance. Thing is, you're headed upstream. And when you make that choice, when you decide to turn your back on what's comfortable and safe and what some would call common sense, well, that's day one. From there, it only gets tougher. So just make sure this is something you want, because the easy way out will always be there, ready to wash you away. So rise and shine.
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast.
Okay, Cambridge-Northeastern, you gotta keep your eyes up. Look down range, you can't keep looking down. Gotta delay that steering.
That's the sound of the police.
It's part of the experience.
Don't worry, Cambridge. No one's watching.
Alright, so I'm gonna give you a warning, okay?
That's the sound of the police. That's the sound of the beast. Turn, drop, advance.
me, sir. What the hell?
Control 2, very early time, Bravo 2. Go for very early.
Showing up to my work is not the way to get your stuff back. Yeah, there's a reason for that, man. There's a reason for that, man. I told you how to get.
That's fine. I'm gonna show a place I can find him. All I wanted was my stuff back, and now I'm in handcuffs. Now I'm gonna have a rugby. All I wanted was my keys back.
You driver under R.O.C?
Should I get a license back for Sierra? Stop. Now go.
This is the Brookline Police. You are considered armed and dangerous. I need you to roll down all the windows. Do it now.
Here we go.
He's in the corner. He's in the corner. Step out of the vehicle. Do it now.
Keep your hands up. If there's anyone else in the vehicle, step out now. Driver's side clear. Wait, everything clear in the trunk.
That's the sound of the police.
Driver, face away from the sound of my voice. Hands up. Keep coming.
Lift up the collar of your shirt so I can see your midsection.
All clear. All clear.
Yeah, slow motion. Please, slow motion.
Bad boy. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? Nobody likes you.
Got that on video.
I know.
Who's primary?
My boyfriend grabbed my neck and I blacked. I thought I remember saying no, but.
My job is to see the person across from me, regardless of the circumstance, as another human being with equal and intrinsic value.
The key to that is communication, right? So if these officers run into someone,
Express to someone the most powerful moment that occurred to you today.
That's where they live. So many money, sir.
Go!
are too tall. You need to squat, brother. Johnson! Come on, bro.
You guys work for me. Take his markets. Now what am I doing with co-op?
That's a great photo to incorporate into any type of report or search warrant.
Good job, guys.
Thank you, sir.
You know, over the last 5 days, we have thrown a ton of information at you. Probably more than most of you probably thought you were going to get when you became police officers. With that being said, we're at the end. We've only got a little bit of time before we are done, you know, as far as the learning part of your medical. So now's the time to talk to us. If you've got complaints, if you've got questions that maybe you didn't want to ask in front of your whole platoon or your squad.
I think it exceeded my expectations personally, because like so I went to the corrections academy and like that was good, and I think they were like better than what I expected that to be for a first responder in CPR, you know.
Yeah.
Sir, please pick me up.
And then like I put myself through reserve academy, and then I did the EMT, and I felt like this was almost more EMT like surrounding.
It is actually.
It feels a lot more EMT, you know.
Tirelessly working on that video for the past 6 months. He does a great job. Thank you, Steve. And now I'd like to invite Commissioner Bard and Deputy Galindo to present the certificates to our graduating officers. I don't know if you could please step forward to each end of the table. Third squad, attention. Prepare to receive your certificates. Officer Christos Kosi from the Abington Police Department. Officer Hans Guillaume, Avon Police Department. Officer Joseph Capuccio, Brookline Police Department. Officer Michael Davis, Brookline Police Department. Officer Shannon Goodrich, Brookline Police Department. Officer Mark Hetnick, Brookline Police Department. Officer Patal Johnson, Brookline Police Department. Officer Douglas Yu, Brookline Police Department. Officer Nathaniel Bolt, Cambridge Police Department. Second squad, attention! Prepare to receive your certificates. Officer Joshua Clement, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Nicole Giampa, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Autumn Harrison, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Samuel Houston, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Zachary Kelso, Cambridge Police Department. Officer David McDermott, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Isaiah McLeod, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Miguel Mijares, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Quentin Pasquarello, Cambridge Police Department. First squad, attention! Prepare to receive your certificates. Officer Caitlin Russell, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Samir Shaka, Cambridge Police Department. Officer Daniel Artiega, Chelsea Police Department. Officer Christian Jimenez, Chelsea Police Department. Officer Kevin Palencia, Chelsea Police Department. Officer Gerard Colpoys, Northeastern Police Department. Officer Connor Lemieux, Northeastern Police Department. Officer Alexander Chen, Randolph Police Department. First squad, take heat. Gentlemen, you may be seated. Thank you. R.O.C. 02-2020. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Staff Instructor Cromwell, Dismiss the class.